Welcome to Squirrel, the podcast for distracted writers, hosted by Candace J. Thomas and Jody L. Milner. Hey everybody, welcome to Squirrel. This is Jody.
This is Candace.
And today we are going to dive into an episode that I think we all kind of need every once in a while, and that's reminding ourselves how to be good to ourselves and avoid writer burnout.
I want to ask you before you start everything, how is your writing going?
Well,
are you doing like novel writing month?
You know, I have in the past. I think I've done it 4 or 5 times, mostly successfully. I've done 50,000 words, but usually it's a chunk of a novel that's already existing. And
so you already have 20,000 words in, and you can
But then I
cheat.
add another 50, so it gets it to 70. So
okay,
I still get the
good.
word count in, but I find that doing that high of intensity for an entire month, it actually does burn me out. And then there'll be like 6 to 8 weeks after that where I just can't
even
rally
do
the energy
Mm-hmm.
to go back to the project. And I feel like a lot of people might feel the same way. And so we want to help people avoid burnout, or at least make better decisions when coming to making goals such as this, so that they can have a healthier long-term writer career.
Yes.
And so we are solidly in November now, and I think that means that quite a few of our listeners are going to be participating in a very specific writing challenge, which is putting down a substantial amount of words towards a book.
Yes.
I am all for setting big writing goals and working hard to achieve them, but I also feel it's so important to avoid these kind of burnouts, because there's nothing more frustrating than having a really cool goal and then meeting it and celebrating and then not touching your project again for months.
Everyone is so excited when they first start writing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and
the energy
just like
is there.
Putting it all down, and then you all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is all junk. I'm just writing, sloppy everything.
Well, and then you don't want to feel like you're wasting that time.
Yeah.
And a lot of times
and
I feel like I
you
end up
derail,
wasting.
And all of a sudden you're writing.
I'm just putting words on the
side
page.
Story.
Let me go describe that mountain for a while. Sure.
It can get so frustrating when you're trying to do those big goals and try to, slam down a whole ton of words really fast.
And there are ways you can do it and keep your sanity. There's not many. Like for that many words, yes, it is going to be a lifestyle change for the month. But today's episode, we're going to talk about 8 different ways to support yourself mentally while you want to work on these goals and get all these words on the page. And so we want you to avoid burnout, make progress, and maintain your sanity at the same time.
Very good. I believe this episode requires chocolate.
Ooh.
So everyone go get some chocolate.
Pause?
And
I want chocolate.
Just remember, be kind to yourself and eat some chocolate when you need it.
Okay, so my first point is that I think it's super important to set realistic goals. And when I say realistic, I don't mean kill yourself goals. I mean a goal that you can reasonably see yourself accomplishing in any given day, like what you set out to do. So this is a goal that's reachable in your life as your life is in the moment. So if you're going to do a 50,000 word goal in a month, you're going to need to set aside at least 1 to 2 hours every single day of that month, or have days where you do 3 or 4 hours. And by the way, as somebody who considers themselves as a career author, doing 2 hours a day regularly, it's exhausting. And I'm not working a day job right now. Like, it's still exhausting to do 2 hours of actually straight writing every day. Like, that's really hard. So if you're planning on this kind of goal, sit down and make time in your life for it. You're going to break down that big goal into small, manageable chunks that make sense for you. If you're motivated by word count, then set word count goals. If you prefer time blocking, then just do time blocking and don't worry about the word count. Just get your time in. You'll know how much time you'll need to get roughly the amount of words you need. Just focus on the time. If you don't like either of those, there are different things you can set goals are that are motivating. Just find something that you like as a person that works for you. That's the whole message is find things that work for you. Don't do what other people are doing just because they say it works for them. You're not them.
You are not them. That is true. Whatever you do, Jody, I'll tell you right now, will not work for me.
Oh, I know.
Absolutely not.
It hardly works for me half the time.
So I have point number 2, and that is I call microdosing. And it's the same aspect of creating realistic goals. But I think if you have been listening to this podcast for a while, and I said this in like a few of our very first episodes, that I am not a goal setter. That it doesn't mean that I don't achieve stuff, but does that make my goals realistic? That's what I mean. I don't think about word goal. I think that might be I don't like the word goals. How about that? I like aspirations. So I have aspirations of this or that. Not a specific word goal. I'm trying to reach a specific thing. And so I've written books, I've created books, but have I had a specific goal in mind? No, but I aspire to get to this point. So it might just be a little bit of a mind play there in changing just the context of the word and looking at it a little differently. So goals might be a little bit too intimidating to you, so you just change it. But I often, when I say microdosing, I'm talking about just leading you to the end of the project. As if you need to go slowly, that's fine. Just do a little bit here and there. I always tell my kids that you can't eat the entire elephant, right? You know that saying. How do you eat an elephant? Just one bite at a time. So will you eventually eat the entire elephant? Yes, you will. But it does just take one bite at a time. So don't look at the huge thing. Just look at the little things. So yeah, there you go.
All right. My next point is finding a writing community, because doing big things alone isn't fun. Especially if you have some insecurities about how the process works. So sometimes we need someone who understands us to run ideas past, just to see if they make sense. Like both Candace and I are part of the League of Utah Writers, and through the League is how I found all my favorite writing pals.
Yeah.
So if you find you don't have writing community. Pals and you're serious about writing, you really need to find a community where you can make those connections with people who are a couple steps ahead of you that can give you really good advice.
And who speak the same language that you do. Because I can often talk to my husband about things and he just won't get it. So it's so important to know people that understand where you are in the phase of creation.
Absolutely. Because there's nothing more frustrating than trying to have a conversation about how a story's going with someone who's completely uninterested in the conversation. Like, they don't want to be there and you really want them to like give you input, and then you end up frustrated. But if you find another writer, all of a sudden they'll be like, "Ooh, have you thought of this? Maybe you should try that. What is this question about your main character? What are they like?" They know the questions to ask because they've had, they've needed mentoring too. They've asked the questions.
Yep. My point is, which is so ironic here, but eat well and get outside.
You mean stay inside and drink Red Bull?
No. I mean, with me and my Mountain Dew right next to me, this is where I'm like, yeah, maybe this isn't the best thing for me. But when you're in the middle of a project, one of the things that I find happen to me is that I don't eat very well. But it's really good to have a better balance in life when you are working on those big projects. So I often do not feel inspired when I'm sitting on the couch, or when I don't eat well. I feel pretty crummy. I feel that my writing would suffer when I'm not in that specific space. So I love to go on just walks. If you just go outside, walk around your neighborhood, it'll help you clear your head and help you just refresh. I often call it like recalibrating yourself, just to help center and help get you in a good mind space and help just clear out whatever the day has put upon you. So just go outside, and if you have a special place that you can escape to, that's even more precious. So I have a cabin that I can go to in Idaho, and it is so splendid up there that I really get very inspired and creative when I'm up there. So that's
So
what
if
I
your
say.
imaginary friends aren't talking to you, go take a walk.
Yeah, you need to talk to them.
I mean, give them a chance to breathe a little bit, especially if you've been running them through the ringer for a while.
Well, and if you quiet if you're listening to outside and it's quiet, you might have your characters talk to you. You can hear them at least.
Honestly, mine love talking to me when I'm doing chores.
Really?
It's like, could you maybe wait a minute?
Yeah, mine often
Or driving.
talk to me when I'm driving, and then I can't do anything about it. So that's when I get my little audio notes out. I have to hurry and record something. That's true. So
All right. So my next point is, should you want to do a larger writing challenge during the month, you do need to have your family on board. You need to maintain honest communication with your partner.
very good.
It's really not okay to drastically change how your home functions just because you decided you need to prove yourself. You can really get yourself in a place where everyone starts getting very, very angry and everyone gets upset if you don't have that communication. Like if you just decide you're no longer going to be taking care of what you normally take care of, and you don't really tell anyone about it, and then everyone's going to be like, why aren't these normal things that you do done? And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
because I've been hiding in my basement
Yeah.
writing. Like, if you don't have them be part of your decision, then how do you expect them to support you and make the right decisions for your family during that time? Because maybe you do have the time. It's just restructuring how your day works. So like if part of your habit is at the end of the day to wind down, you sit and watch TV. Well, maybe this is a great time for your partner to binge watch that show that you hate that they really have been wanting to watch. They now have the space to do that, and you now have the space to do the work. Maybe you're not an evening writer, and that's okay, because if the energy is not there, it's not going to work. Maybe you're a morning writer. So maybe during these challenges, this is when you give yourself permission to wake up before the family. Even that extra 45 minutes can make a massive difference if you don't have all the small people and large people coming and needing things from you. Like you just have the headspace. So early morning stuff is really quite lovely for a lot of us.
Yes. I
'Cause
love it. I love mornings.
There's
like
nothing
that.
worse than having small people needing things constantly. It breaks the flow.
And if you do end up finding that this becomes a good career choice, this is something that will benefit your family as well. So if you become that success that you're seeking, your family you will still need to do the same kind of thing where your family will need to be on board for that. So it's
Yeah.
good to create trust there at the beginning.
Yeah, because if you're trying to do it in secret, like there's going to be bad feelings because you're going to feel like you're not getting what you need, but you haven't told them what you need. So how are they going to give it to you?
Yeah.
Like you end up creating this bigger problem for yourself. And I've tried to be sneaky about, getting more writing in, and it never works. And then you just get tired because you feel like you're living a double life, and that's exhausting. And you don't do that to yourself.
Agreed. The next point that I'm bringing up is it's okay to say no. How about that? This is something that has always been hard for me to do, be honest. It not just with writing goals, but with other project commitments. I love to be that person that can help others, and when they're doing their projects, I want to be a resource for them, but I tend to want to, there are some times that projects come up that I want to be a part of. And so I might sacrifice some of my time, writing time, to be a part of this project instead of actually focusing on writing. And that will burn me out really fast. So depending on what someone is asking of you, it might be more than what you expect and can actually take can take you away from your own creativity.
Yes, beware writing adjacent activities.
Yeah, don't do too much. There were years where I was editing when I could have been writing, and I wish that I had been writing instead of editing. So, because I don't like editing. It's not a joy. I might be good at it. That doesn't mean that I like it. So I wish that I had been creating my own work instead of focusing on other people's work. So some of those, just something to think about. You might want to put yourself first here.
Yeah, if you think it's a brilliant idea to start a podcast with your writing bestie, it's probably going to take time away from your writing.
Yes,
more than you expect.
Sure will. But, and it's okay to say no, but somebody didn't.
I have a feeling we're too deep now.
So that's it. Here we go. But I think that on that same point, though, this podcast has made me more creative. So even though it takes us time, I'm spending my time more efficiently because I'm becoming more creative. That's all. I see that you're the opposite.
I have lots of feelings about that. No, I love that we have found this. This is so squirrely.
It's okay. People want to hear this.
Unbelievably
They want to hear
squirrely.
how we're dealing with our own creation here.
Well, yeah, you think that it's going to be some easy thing, maybe an hour commitment a week. And when it turns to be a 2-hour, 3-hour commitment every week, this week, I know I'm going to be spending upwards of 6 hours doing squirrel stuff. And that's 6 hours that I won't be doing writing stuff on. But some of those hours are hours that I wouldn't have been doing writing stuff anyway, and that's fine. And I do need a break from writing stuff to stretch my legs and do different things. And sometimes I'm too tired to do writing stuff, and that's a really great time to do audio editing, because then I can just listen and be like, ha ha ha, that's funny, delete. Ha ha ha, what the heck are you saying there?
Yeah. See, it's just fun. It's so much more fun, right?
It's just a different kind of creativity, which is like a break.
Yeah.
Because you can't just do 10 hours of writing during one day. You start cracking after 3.
Mm-hmm. I think on that same note, I didn't put this in my notes, but it's nice to have maybe you could paint or draw or doodle or something else to help create that creativity flow.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's always good to have some sort of alternate creative thing that isn't super brain requiry, but allows you to create something like
coloring. I love coloring. My Keanu Reeves coloring book.
Or like
so great.
Like that little miniature I made. I have to show you pictures of that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So next point, let's just round that squirrel back up.
Okay.
Put him in his cage.
Yes.
Naughty squirrel. All right. I think one of the secrets on these bigger writing challenges is finding these tiny pockets where it's not an hour, because people are like, oh, I will wait until I have an afternoon. You're not going to get an afternoon. I will wait until I have an entire evening to myself. You're never going to get that. I will wait till I have this whole morning where I don't have any. Hello, have you lived your life recently? Big swaths of time don't happen. Small swaths of time.
Very nice.
You can find them in really weird places.
True.
So maybe if you're a commuter, maybe you choose to commute by rail during that time, because that gives you an hour and a half where you're still getting to work, but you can now work on your book while you commute. Maybe you do school pickups and you have to sit in that pickup lane for an interminable amount of time. My child's always the last out of the school. I swear it. And so I find I'm in the car easily 30 to 40 minutes every single time I pick him up. Because I like to go early to get my parking spot. It's a thing. But I'm in there, and I know I'm in there for that long, and so I always have several things I can work on. Lately, it's been TikTok videos. But it is getting creative things done in pockets of time that you would probably normally have wasted. You know, how many times you end up at a doctor's appointment and you're sitting in the stupid waiting room for who knows how long.
Mm-hmm.
So find creative ways to get more words in these tiny pockets. Like I know people who they're like, I'm going to make tea. I know it takes like if you're using a kettle, it takes my kettle 5 minutes. And that would be a really long time for a kettle. But it takes X amount of time for that. I'm going to run and see how many words I can get in those 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a fun little thing. And so like, oh, well, you got like 100 words in like 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Anyway, imagine every time if you knew you had a few minutes of wait, you added just a few sentences, every single day you would have several hundred words extra.
There's
that
your
you wouldn't have
microdosing. Yep.
Because you're microdosing.
Yep. Exactly.
If you have your project synced on your phone, this is even easier because you'll be like, I'm going to be here for the next 20 minutes. Huh. Click. Clickety, 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 click. And phones are getting a lot better with dictation, so you can actually dictate your project.
Except for my voice.
Except for people who just don't speak normally.
Except for, yeah, I have no idea why it thinks, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I should talk more in a British accent? Maybe you would understand a little bit better.
I would love to see that. I would have such
to see what my voice to text comes out as.
There's certain words it doesn't like because of the Western accent.
Yeah, because of my Utah.
But I'm 90% accurate most of the time.
That's pretty cool.
And you just have some really funny words.
I don't even know how it comes up with some of these words.
Hey,
and I'm
Benedict.
like, what? I know. What does that even mean? I can't even figure out what I was trying to say, first of all.
It was something about editing. When you need to edit.
When you need to edit and it says, hey Benedict. Maybe
okay,
that just happens to be one of the words that shows up in my text a lot.
Well, I mean, there is Cumberbatch.
It doesn't come up with... Yeah, Cumberbatch comes up in my voice to text. Okay.
You've trained it.
All right, this is the last point that I think we came up with. And what I thought was probably one of the most important things when I feel burnt out is I like to talk it out. I sound like I need a therapist. And what other people...
Or a trusted gal pal.
A therapist, of me, I don't know. But when I feel burnt out, I like to talk through my story with other people. Even if it's like my mother or any of my writing friends. I really like to I say my trusted writer's circle, because I don't want to just pick some rando that happens to be writing
No, don't
stuff.
inflict your story on randos.
Because then
That's mean.
They will, it's, first of all, it's my story, but then what if they find it brilliant and they take it, and what am I going to do? But I know that some of the issues that when I'm burnt out, it usually has to do with knitting the story pieces together. So if I'm talking it out with my writer's circle, they often can see some holes that I don't see. And they might mention, well, maybe you should try this. Or, oh, have you looked at that? Or you could actually do this and it would be really cool. These, not that I would implement them all, but it's good to hear different creativity so that I can take those little influences and it'll help spark some of the ideas that I need to fill in those gaps. So that's what helps me. And even when I'm talking with my mom or my family who know my writing struggles and they like to hear the story that's happening, and that also, they get excited about it. And I love the fact that they're excited, and it encourages me to keep going. Also, can I just mention, when I go to writers' conferences, I love being around writing people, and I often get inspired at writers' conferences, not just because of the different classes that I might attend, but just being in the atmosphere brings a creative vibe. So I might just sit down and I just need to hammer out some stuff. I usually have a very good outlook after.
Oh, you got to fill your battery with that creative energy that's hard to get anywhere else.
It's true. But it also can be a little overwhelming. And then all of a sudden you're like, I am so behind. And don't look at that part of writing conferences. But yeah, just look for those inspirational moments of creativity. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yay.
So know that every writer's journey is different. If you've never tried a big writing challenge, such as the 50,000 word challenge, try it once. See if it helps you or see if it frustrates you. You can learn a lot about yourself by working towards a big goal and seeing where the motivation comes from and being able to get a very large part of a project done in a short amount of time. But whatever goal you set for yourself, make sure you're flexible and kind to your needs and the needs of your family, because progress is good, but burnout is bad. And we want you to avoid it.
Yeah. We want you to be, we want you to succeed. So please be careful. Be kind to yourself. Tell us about our listener assignment.
Okay, this is just going back to just finding creative ways to find little pockets of time where you can get more work done. So I want you to test a creative new writing spot where you can capture words on your story. So maybe it's sitting in the pickup lane like I was talking about, or maybe it's during a lunch break. Maybe it is while you are taking a walk and dictating into a phone. Whatever you try, we'd love to hear about it. And I would love you to be pleasantly surprised about how many more words you can pick up on a project by utilizing these pockets you normally don't use.
Yes. Can I ask you a question? What is the most creative place that you've written?
Classic Fun Center.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We had this
That's come up a couple times. But when my kids were really into going to Classic Fun Center, like, because they could go and they could do all the little bounce houses and whatever, I would bring my laptop and I would just find a little corner and I'd put my sound canceling headphones on. And it was really surprising how much work you could get done. Like with that thrumming
that kind of
music and
noise.
strobing light. I don't know why that ended up being really conducive. I swear it created a mental disconnect where I literally couldn't focus on anything but the one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it. I've done soccer games too.
Yeah.
Or not. I watch the games, but practices are really, really boring. So.
Gotcha. I can't even think of one. I mean, I know I have them, but it's, it's getting late and I can't even think. Can you remember
Some of yours?
Yes.
I mean, I know you use your lunch breaks and
I do
work
use
breaks
lunch breaks
for
and
all
work
sorts
breaks.
of random stuff, depending on just whatever's standing at the top of your list.
Yeah.
You go to the cabin. That's not exactly finding a tiny pocket.
I did when I was waiting for my mammogram. That was fun. I did have some time there. That was
All right.
I
Sure.
I was
Way to be
writing
responsible.
there. Right.
Yeah. No, I do it. Kids' orthodontic appointments. I've actually done podcast episodes for orthodontic appointments.
Yeah, when my kids had braces. Yeah.
And actually, my kids are good plot fodder for some stuff because the phobia episode had a lot of Dan's input, which was awesome.
That's awesome. Super cool. Okay. The end.
The end. All right. Tell us our next episode.
Okay. So we're going to talk about, I call it the dystopian cycle. And what it is we're going to talk about like early dystopian and how it's influenced other dystopian. Being like it a futuristic setting after an apocalyptic event, right? How they're rebuilding. So what kind of fiction has inspired other fiction like that? So
Alrighty.
it'll be an interesting, I think I'm kind of excited about it, but it's going to be weird because I'm going to have to really dig into
This
my
will require
reading.
research. Absolutely.
So, and it's all, I want to be honest, it'll all be theoretical. This is all just us, talking out specific dystopia and how it's affected maybe our writing or other people's writing and how the chain has kept on going. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Alrighty.
I think it'll be fun.
I'm hoping.
Who even knows?
I am hopeful. I think it'll be very interesting. All right. If you've liked anything you've heard today, we have a Patreon, we have a Buy Us a Coffee, and as always, like and subscribe and share. This has been a blast.
Bye. I don't even know.
What was that?
Thank you for listening to the Squirrel Podcast for the Distracted Writer. with Candace J. Thomas and Jody L. Milner. Please like and subscribe to our podcast for updates and new episodes, and find more information at our website, squirrelpodcast.com. Stay distracted, everyone.
Hey, everybody, this is Jody.
This is Candace.
And this is Squirrel.